Night, 6th June 1944. Sibutu Passage, a narrow strip of black water between Tawi-Tawi and Borneo, just wide enough for ships to slip through, just shallow enough to make every submariner nervous. On the surface, making 10 knots, runs a single U.S. submarine, USS Harder, SS-257. A long, low shadow with a single fin of a conning tower and a few dim, shielded lights. Below that tower, crammed into a steel tube that smells of oil, sweat, and battery acid, are about 80 men. In the center of it all, in the red-lit control room, stands one quiet Texan with Captain's dolphins on his chest, Commander Samuel D. Sam Dealey. Harder has been running submerged by day, surfacing at night to charge batteries and hunt. For hours, her SJ radar and lookouts have been tracking a faint contact, a small Japanese group moving through this choke point. 3 tankers, 2 destroyers. Somewhere back beyond the strait lies Tawi-Tawi, anchorage of the Japanese mobile fleet, battleships, carriers, cruisers, protected by destroyers like the ones Harder is stalking. Up on the bridge, the moon is just bright enough to betray any careless silhouette. Dealey studies the black shapes ahead through his binoculars. "Convoy turning," a lookout whispers. "One destroyer, coming this way." They hear the change in the destroyer's engine note before they see it clearly. The rising growl of turbines pushing a warship toward flank speed. In the control room, the report is flat, professional. Bearing steady, range closing. Textbook answer: dive deep and run. A destroyer charging straight at a surfaced sub in a narrow passage is usually game over if you stay shallow. Dealey thinks for a second. "Come right, show him our stern, stand by aft tubes." They're not going to flee. They're going to let the destroyer roar straight down their wake, and then fire torpedoes down the throat at a target racing right at them. In the after torpedo room, men stand at the firing switches. In the scope, the destroyer's bow wave swells, white foam ripping through black water. Range 1,100 yards. Steady. Fire 3. 3 torpedoes leap from Harder's stern into the dark. What kind of commander bets his entire boat on a head-on shot like that? And how does this one submarine go on, over the next 4 days, to sink 5 Japanese ships and terrify an entire navy? To see why this is insane, zoom out from that ribbon of water and look at the Pacific War from below the surface. By mid-1944, U.S. submarines are the silent stranglers of the Japanese Empire. They're less than 2% of the U.S. Navy, but they're sinking nearly half of all Japanese ships lost: tankers, freighters, troop ships. Their job is simple on paper and deadly in practice: cut Japan's sea lanes and starve its war machine. Japan fights back with its nastiest tool: destroyers. Fast, lean, bristling with guns and depth charges, destroyers screen the big ships and hunt subs. They carry sonar and hydrophones. When they catch a boat, they rush in, roll patterns of explosives into the deep, and listen for the sound every submariner dreads: metal tearing, bulkheads collapsing. Sub-skippers are taught one basic rule: avoid them. Escorts are dangerous, high-risk targets. Sinking one looks great on paper, but not if it costs you the boat and 80 men. Now drop a pin on Tawi-Tawi. In early 1944, it becomes the gathering point for Admiral Jisaburo Ozawa's mobile fleet, Japan's last big carrier force. Around those carriers and battleships, destroyers prowl constantly, forming a moving fence of sonar and depth charges. To get close enough to see what's happening there, any U.S. sub has to pass through choke points like Sibutu Passage, exactly where destroyers like to hunt. It's like sneaking past a house where all the guard dogs sleep in the hallway. On the American side, planners are desperate. A major assault on the Marianas, Saipan, Tinian, Guam, is about to kick off. Everyone knows the Japanese fleet will react. No one knows exactly when or how. Someone has to creep up to the enemy's front porch, watch, and hurt the escorts if they can. That someone is USS Harder. Official doctrine says, don't go looking for duels with escorts. Live to fight another day. Harder's patrol orders are different. She's being sent not just to report on the Japanese fleet, but to attack its destroyer screen when opportunity allows. In other words, go after the very ships every other submarine tries to stay away from. 2 years earlier, the underwater war looked very different. In 1942, U.S. subs prowl the Pacific and keep coming home frustrated. Skippers show up in debriefs with the same story. We fired, we hit, and then nothing. The problem isn't courage, it's hardware. The Mark 14 torpedo, supposedly a technological marvel, runs too deep, detonates early, or hits with a solid clank and fails to explode. Perfect firing setups turn into humiliating misses. Japanese destroyers don't know all the technical details, but they notice a lot of attacks end with American subs diving deep and getting pounded, and those depth charges work just fine. Inside a submarine, a destroyer isn't an abstract escort. It's a nightmare. When it catches your scent, the world becomes noise and pressure. The hull creaks, lights flicker, mugs rattle. Somewhere above, men are trying to crush you like a can. Most captains develop a respect, bordering on fear, for those lean killers. Now drop Harder into that picture. She's a Gato-class boat, about 300 feet of steel, 10 torpedo tubes, diesels on the surface, batteries and electric motors below. On her early patrols under Sam Dealey, she already stands out. She sinks Japanese shipping, and crucially, she starts scoring destroyers, the enemy most boats avoid. Word spreads, Dealey is aggressive. He doesn't just shoot at fat, slow freighters. He'll go after the escorts. By early summer 1944, the stakes are huge. If the Americans seize the Marianas, B-29s can bomb Japan directly. Tokyo gathers its remaining carriers and battleships for a showdown. Between the U.S. fleet rolling west and the Japanese fleet waiting near Tawi-Tawi are boats like Harder. If they can't pierce the destroyer screen, the surface fleets will meet blind. Harder is about to be sent into that nest of destroyers on her 5th patrol, and Sam Dealey is ready to flip the script on who's hunting whom. Look at photos of Samuel David Dealey, and he doesn't scream destroyer killer. Average height, calm eyes, quiet smile. Born in Dallas, Annapolis class of 1930. To his crew, he's Uncle Sam, a commander who listens more than he talks, but whose word is final. Under that mild look is steel. By 1944, Dealey knows the textbook. If a destroyer charges, you dive deep, turn away, go silent, and pray. You don't pick a gunfight with a gunfighter. Harder's early patrols nudge him toward another idea. More than once, he's watched destroyers come straight and fast, bows charging through the water, presenting a narrow but real target. If you could hold your nerve and judge speed and angle just right, you might put a torpedo straight into the enemy's teeth and end the duel before it starts. It's like standing still while a bull charges you, then stepping aside at the last second and driving a spear into its chest. The crew know this isn't what they were taught. Sub-school. Drilled in the danger of staying shallow when an escort bears down. But on Harder, they see results. Short, violent fights ending with the destroyer gone and the boat slipping away. Over time, a dangerous confidence grows. Maybe the best way to survive a destroyer is to kill it first. In late May 1944, Harder gets her orders for Patrol 5. From Fremantle, Australia, she'll head north into the Celebes Sea, then to Tawi-Tawi's approaches. Officially, reconnaissance, sink enemy shipping, attack worthwhile targets of opportunity. Unofficially, destroyers count as worthwhile. There's a side mission, recovering stranded Australian coast watchers on the Borneo coast. But the heart is clear. Harder is being sent into a nest of escorts at a critical moment in the Pacific War. In the cramped wardroom, Dealey lays it out for his officers over coffee and charts. They're going right up to the enemy's doorstep. They're going to look the sub-killers in the eye. And if those destroyers charge them, they won't always be the ones turning away. Back to Sibutu Passage, night of 6th June. Harder's 3 stern torpedoes race away as white ghosts beneath the surface. The Japanese destroyer's bow wave gleams in the moonlight as it charges down Harder's wake. There is no time to dive now. If those fish miss, a destroyer at 30 knots will be on top of them. The first estimated impact time passes. Nothing. Then, a dull thump rolls through the hull. A sharper crack follows. The deck jumps. Someone yells, "We got him!" Upscope. In the brief view, the destroyer, Minazuki, is a ruined shape, bow blown open, fires licking the deck. She's already sagging by the head, searchlights swinging crazily into the sea. Moments later, there's only fire, smoke, and an oil patch. Harder has just killed a charging destroyer, down the throat. The celebration is cut short. Destroyer closing. Other side. The second escort roars in. This time, Dealey orders a deep dive. For the next hour, it's nothing but depth charges, thunder overhead, the hull shivering, lights flickering. Then, finally, silence. 2 days later, the ocean erupts again. 7 June 1944. A Japanese patrol plane spots Harder's feather and calls it in. Soon, sonar picks up another destroyer combing the area for the sub that killed Minazuki. Dealey could slip away. Instead, he stalks the hunter. Enemy sonar pings echo through the hull. Range 700 yards, pistol shot distance. Fire 1, fire 2, fire 3. 3 bow torpedoes rush out. Moments later, a titanic blast slams Harder. A second, even bigger explosion follows as the destroyer Hayanami's magazine goes up. Through the scope, Dealey sees her literally coming apart. A column of flame where midships used to be, debris arcing into the air, then just burning fuel and fragments. 2 destroyers in 2 days, both killed at knife fight range. By now, Harder has been under near constant strain. The men are exhausted. The boat stinks of sweat and diesel. Every faint sound could be another hunter. Dealey turns away briefly to keep a promise. Harder edges toward the northeast coast of Borneo, a dark, rugged shoreline. In the early hours of 8th of June, she surfaces just long enough to pick up 6 Australian coast watchers and guerrillas who've been hiding from the Japanese for months. Thin, bearded, sunburned, they bring notebooks, sketches, and memories, intelligence on Japanese movements and patrol habits. They cram into the already crowded boat, hatch shut, back to Sibutu. On the evening of 9th June, submerged near the Narrows again, Harder's scope catches another pair of destroyers in line-ahead formation. 2 black shapes almost overlapping. It's the dream setup. Range about 1,000 yards. Dealey waits until the silhouettes overlap perfectly. Fire 1, fire 2, fire 3, fire 4. 4 torpedoes fan out. Explosions roll back. The destroyer Tanakaze staggers as 2 hits tear into her. Flame and steam erupt. Her bow lifts, then her stern. She folds and vanishes in boiling water and smoke. Farther back, a fourth torpedo slams into the second escort. Accounts differ on what happened next, whether she sank outright or limped away, shattered. But through Harder's scope, all anyone sees is a massive explosion and a ship swallowed by spray and darkness. 3 nights of hunting, at least 3 destroyers, and likely a fourth gone. Even the rescued Australians now realize they're sharing space with men who attack destroyers for a living. On 10th of June 1944, the patrol peaks. Near Sibutu, Harder sights something huge, a Japanese task force slipping out from Tawi-Tawi. Battleships, cruisers, destroyers, the steel heart of Ozawa's mobile fleet moving toward open sea. Harder radios a contact report, then stays to watch. A patrol plane spots her wake. An escort peels off and charges at over 30 knots. Every manual says, dive deep, live to report another day. Dealey holds at periscope depth until the destroyer fills the lens. Fire 3 bow tubes down the throat. As Harder finally slides under, torpedoes racing ahead, the crew count the seconds. Somewhere above, an onrushing destroyer is betting its life the sub will blink first. The detonation is enormous. Harder lurches. The crew never gets a clear view of what's left, but in their report, they are certain the charging escort never returns. From 6th to 10th of June, in 4 violent days, USS Harder has sunk at least 4 destroyers and almost certainly a 5th ship, all at close range. For the men inside, it feels like they've gone 5 rounds with the entire Japanese escort force and somehow walked away. For the Japanese Navy, it feels like something worse. One unseen ship killer lurking at their front door, knocking down their best hunters one by one. Harder doesn't just leave wreckage in Sibutu Passage. She leaves radio messages. Whenever there's a breathing space between attacks and depth charges, her radio men tap out reports, positions, courses, and compositions of Japanese forces near Tawi-Tawi. Those messages hop from sub to sub, then to headquarters, and finally to the plotting tables of admirals far away. One of them is Admiral Raymond Spruance, commanding U.S. 5th Fleet. As Harder reports a powerful task force, battleships, cruisers, escorts, slipping out of Tawi-Tawi, the picture of Japan's response to the Marianas landings sharpens. Spruance and his staff know the Japanese fleet is on the move. In Tokyo, the effect is different. Admiral Soemu Toyoda, running Japan's naval operations, receives a string of alarming notices. Destroyers missing and presumed sunk, escorts hammered near a supposedly safe anchorage, a submarine that seems everywhere at once. Commanders at Tawi-Tawi don't know the name Harder. They just know their destroyer screen is being peeled away by an enemy they can't catch. They begin to believe something that isn't true, that a pack of American subs is encircling them. Nervous about being trapped in a submarine-infested anchorage, the mobile fleet leaves Tawi-Tawi early, before logistics are ideal, before pilots are fully ready. When those carriers and battleships finally meet the U.S. in the Battle of the Philippine Sea, the imbalance is even worse than it might have been. Somewhere under that giant history book battle is the shadow of one boat that made destroyer captains afraid. USS Harder's 5th Patrol becomes legend, but there's no fairy tale ending. After a short rest and well-earned praise, Harder sails again on her 6th patrol in August 1944, leading a small wolf pack off western Luzon. The tactics are the same, close-in attacks, pressure on escorts, but this time the hunters get a clean shot. On 24th of August 1944, while attacking Japanese escorts near Dassault Bay, Harder is located and hammered by the escort ship CD-22. A massive underwater explosion is seen. Oil and debris rise. Harder and her roughly 80 men never return. Sam Dealey is posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor. All 6 of Harder's patrols are rated successful. For decades, the boat is simply lost with all hands. In the 21st century, technology finally catches up. In deep water off Luzon, a search team finds a long, broken cylinder of steel on the seafloor, USS Harder's wreck, now a war grave. Picture that first night again in Sibutu, a lone submarine, a destroyer charging straight at her, and a quiet Texan who decides not to run. In 4 days, Harder flips the script, turning hunters into targets, sinking multiple escorts, and helping scare Japan's fleet into sailing early. What you've heard is drawn from wartime patrol reports and post-war research, with some thoughts and dialogue dramatized for storytelling. For detailed study, always go to professional historians and primary sources. If you want more forgotten World War II stories like this, impossible submarine missions, strange naval gambles, and the crews who pulled them off, hit like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from and which submarine patrol or sea battle you'd like us to dive into next.